Hello, movie friends, and welcome to another episode of Ryan's Mini Movie Reviews. I am very excited for you guys to be joining me today on this episode because I am very excited for the episode and the film that we're going to be discussing today because it is a new film that has just been released and it's getting a lot of Oscar buzz. We've had a couple of Golden Globes, very, very well critically and financially, and the fans' reception is great for this film. This film is called The Banshee of INISHERIN. INISHERIN, whatever you want to call it, it is still a good movie no matter what. This film is written and directed by Martin McDonagh, famous for the films like In Bruges and Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Known for his great screenplay and script writing, and has made some very, very good films. And he's made another one with this film starring Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, Kerry Condon, and Barry Keoghan. This film is very, very deep. It's a very poetic and mystical film. There's a lot to look into this. You can look into the film with many different layers upon it, and it's very, very easy to understand. I think the plot is easy, and that makes us require to look deeper into what this film is really about and what it really means, because that is what makes movies good. And a movie can make you think, can make you display and feel a specific emotion that you have not felt before. The film has done its job, and this film does exactly that. So the film follows two lifelong friends, and they find themselves in an impasse when one abruptly ends their relationship, while alarming consequences for both of them continue to happen throughout the film. The film is set in a small island outside of Ireland. The setting is very, very well done visually. It's visually stunning of a film. The cinematography is perfect for this film. It displays that very old and rustic island, like very, 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 very traditional, very, very medieval almost at times, because these people are very isolated and live on their own, and there's no technology. They all have the same lives, and that's very important with the plot of this film, because all the characters have very, very boring and not overtly unique lives. They do the same thing every day. They go to the same pub, they eat the same food, and they have the same jobs, and they've been doing that in their entire life. And that's sort of a representation of what the island is like. And the island is almost a symbol for that, that repetition and sadness, because once you leave, you start a new life. Whereas it's the same life no matter what. The characters that are presented are Padraig and Colm. Padraig is played by Colin Farrell, and he does an incredible job. Colin Farrell's character is very, very innocent. He plays the person that discovers that Colm, played by Brendan Gleeson, does not want to be his friend. And Padraig is very, very hurt by this. It's so unexpected. He had no idea that Colm does not want to be his friend. And it's not because he doesn't like him anymore. It's because of his own problems, It's like a relationship, because he's afraid that he's going to fall into the same routine like he's already, and he's afraid that he's going to die, but knowing with the fact that he hasn't accomplished anything in his life. And that's Colm's problem. He's worried. And so, if he's friends with Padraig and doing the same thing every day, going to the bar every day and having the same old life, he's going to regret and feel sad and depressed. And I think at this point in the story, he is already depressed. And Padraig is so hurt by that because doesn't realize that. And Colin Farrell does a really good job at displaying that. He does a really good job at displaying, we understand why he is so upset, why he's hurt, because at the beginning of the film, for the first half, you are on the side of Padraig. You're like, why is he doing this? He's being a terrible person. Coleman's being a terrible person to Colin Farrell's character. He's just ignoring him and not being his friend. Whereas in the second half, you understand and get an understanding, another perspective of what Colm's life is like, and how sad, and he doesn't want to do it to harm Padrick. He just wants to do it so for his own sake, and that's sort of the debate that you have in watching this film, and I'll discuss that a bit later. But again, back on the performances, yeah, Colin Farrell, it's a role that he has not done before. It's a role that he um, is not used to doing. You see him in a lot uh, more action films, and he does a very, very good job in this role in particular. He's very simple minded, and you get that from him, and you understand that, and you understand that point of view from him. Another character is played by Barry Keoghan as Dominic, and he plays sort of the character in the middle of the whole ordeal that is going down between the characters and the friends, and he plays a very goofy, eccentric character that sort of gives a light in the dark place of the island that they're living on. The story is very, very easy to understand, and as I said before, there's a lot to go into revolving the themes that are within the story. All the characters, represent something in a way. The main themes that surround this film are themes of friendship. You understand a friendship, and I think it's personal to a lot of people because we've all had that fear of being friends with somebody and the relationship being almost one-sided. They represent that very well, and especially at the beginning of the film. And but there's also the fear of yourself being considered being a boring person, and I know I've had that fear in my life before, where you are worried about how you're perceived by people, and if they think you're boring or bland. And Colm almost has that problem in his life as well, because he aside from Patrick, because he's afraid that he's gonna end a life where uh, and die, not accomplishing anything in his life, and he wants to play music, and that's sort of his journey of life. That's what he wants to do, and I think the island is a good representation of that sadness, because you look at the characters and how they live this same life every day, where they do the exact same thing, and it's a representation of depression, because you ultimately see that Colm is depressed. He doesn't want to live this life anymore, and you can see that the representation of depression through the characters, because Patrick can be almost as seen as the character of what to do when you have depression. Should you embrace it and talk about it and and understand that you have it and accept it, or do you ignore it and just like Patrick kind of does, is ignore the fact that you have depression and are depressed, and just live your life knowing that what it has done to you. And I like the debate of the film, that you can debate on whether you should be remaining friends with someone, in Colm's situation, remaining friends with somebody because, you can't, yeah, it's a you want to do a selfless act and just be friends with the person, or not stay friends because it is a selfish thing to do, but for your own good, because you need to care about yourself. It touches on so many themes within the film, and it goes into just a rabbit hole of subplots and themes. It's very different film because it's sad, yet funny and peaceful and relaxing, and so many different emotions that it made my head just go spinning. And it's something that I don't get a lot when watching movies. It's definitely a very, very interesting film to think about after, because you think about it a lot, and it's a very character-based film, and that's what's enjoyable for me when watching a film like this. All right, guys, I think that sums it up for today's episode. It's a little short, but thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to give this film a 4.5 out of 5, because it does such a good job at representing the idea of depression and the debate of what to do in these situations, these moral dilemmas that you have. And I love the rabbit hole it goes down, because ultimately at the end, they become enemies with each other, and it's sad, but yet interesting. And so it's a very, very good film. I highly recommend, and I hope it does win the awards it deserves, like best screenplay, which it definitely should win for that. But thank you guys for listening, and hope to see you guys back soon.